Welcome to Zombie News. I'm your host, Zombie2.
And I'm your co-host, Zombie1.
We have breaking news. Could the live flu vaccine help you fight off COVID-19? In case you were still procrastinating getting a flu shot this year, here's another reason to make it a priority. There's a chance the vaccine could offer some protection against COVID-19 itself, says virologist Robert Gallo, who directs the Institute of Human Virology at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and is chairman of the Global Virus Network.
The key is getting the right flu vaccine, says Gallo, who is one of the main scientists credited with discovering HIV. The vaccine has to have a live virus in it. The virus is attenuated so it doesn't cause disease, but otherwise the virus is alive. A live virus may sound a bit terrifying, but it's a standard way to make safe and effective vaccines. In fact, you've probably already had a few live, attenuated vaccines in your lifetime, such as the measles vaccine or oral polio vaccine.
Now scientists are just beginning to learn that these vaccines may offer some unexpected advantages to the immune system. When developing a vaccine, scientists have a few strategies to try. They can take a piece or component of the bacteria and use it to trigger an immune response in a person. They can kill the pathogen and use its corpse as the vaccine. Or they can take a live pathogen and weaken it in the lab.
The latter are called live, attenuated vaccines, and over the past century, scientists have noticed something peculiar about these vaccines. They seem to offer some protection, not just from the targeted disease, but also against many different diseases, including respiratory infections. There is plenty of evidence for it, Gallo says. The weakness is we don't really know the longevity of the protection. It will probably work only for months, but we can't say for sure.
Take, for instance, the vaccine for tuberculosis. It's called Bacillus-Calmette-Guerin, or BCG, and it contains a live, but weakened, strain of terabytes from cows. When doctors in Sweden first started using BCG back in the 1920s, they noticed not only that the vaccine reduced a child's risk from dying of terabytes, but also that children who got it had a mortality rate from all causes that was almost 3 times lower than unvaccinated children. Since the 1970s, scientists in West Africa have documented a similar pattern with both the BCG vaccine and the live measles vaccine. In other words, the vaccines were doing something to boost the immune system's response to many kinds of pathogens. Recently, doctors in the Netherlands directly tested the BCG vaccine against a placebo to see if it could help volunteers fight off a weakened form of yellow fever. The conclusion? People who received the BCG vaccine mounted a stronger immune response against the virus and cleared out the virus more effectively than those who received the placebo, the study reported.
It's not just BCG that seems to have this effect. There is growing evidence that any live vaccines can offer some broad, non-specific protection, including the oral polio vaccine, measles and the live flu vaccine. Scientists have had a hard time believing the evidence because the idea goes against the way they thought vaccines work, says immunologist Sue Crossing at McMaster's University in Ontario. It's a new concept that has emerged in the field of immunology over the past 5 to 10 years or so.
In general, vaccines work by tricking the body to produce antibodies. These molecules are very specific. They typically target and neutralize only one type of infection. Live vaccines also work through antibodies, but they likely do something else, as well. They supercharge our body's frontline defenders, the cells that first recognize an invader and try to clear it out before the infection gets out of control, Zhu says. Specifically, scientists think live vaccines epigenetically reprogram immune cells in the bone marrow, called myeloid cells.
Unlike antibodies, myeloid cells are nonspecific. They work on many types of invaders. And they work quickly when the virus first enters a person's body. Now the big question is, will live vaccines help a person clear out the coronavirus from their body before they get sick or before the infection becomes severe?
To figure that out, scientists around the world are currently running more than a dozen clinical trials with both BCG and the live polio vaccine to see whether they offer some protection against the virus that causes COVID-19. No one believes the protection will be as strong or as long-lived, as that provided by a specific COVID-19 vaccine, says Dr. Moshe Arditi, who leads one of the trials at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles.
But, he says, the BCG vaccine has several advantages to a specific vaccine. It's cheap. A dose only costs a few dollars. And we already know it's safe. More than 130 million kids every year, receive the BCG vaccine, so the safety profile has been very strong, Arditi says. So the BCG vaccine could be approved and available by early next year, he says. It could be a bridge until we have a safe, effective COVID-19 vaccine.
In the meantime, virologist Robert Gallo says, why not go get the live flu vaccine, if you can? This year, the flu vaccine comes in two major forms, a shot or a nasal spray. The shot, which is approved for all people above age 6 months who don't have contraindications, contains an inactivated virus or components of the virus. The nasal spray, FluMist, which is approved for people ages 2 to 49, contains live, attenuated flu viruses.
You watch, Gallo says. People who get the live flu vaccine will also be protected against the COVID-19. That's the hypothesis. However, even if you get a vaccine, you should still exercise all the same cautions you would otherwise. Wear a mask, keep your distance, wash your hands and avoid large indoor gatherings. In other news, Boris was seen abusing Caillou because he had a nightmare.
We now show you security footage of that event.
How dare you have a nightmare? You're grounded forever. Go to bed now.
We now go to Paul for an interview with Caillou about what happened.
So Caillou, can you tell me what happened with you and your dad, Boris?
Well, last night I had a nightmare and was screaming, "Daddy! Help! Daddy! Help! I'm having a nightmare," and when he came into my room he accused me of taking his nighttime medication, which I did not do, and he brought me downstairs and started to slap me repeatedly and then ground me just because he thinks I took his nighttime medication and got a nightmare because I took the medication. Well, I didn't do that. I know taking medicine that doesn't have my name on it, it's not good to do, so I never do that, and he should be locked up in jail for abusing me and my sister Rosie, and our parents should get a divorce because he's also abusing Mommy.
So how did you get here if you're grounded?
Mommy drove me here.
If you could say anything to Boris, what would you say?
You're grounded for 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 0, 8, 0, 1, 5, 6, 8, 9, 7, 6, 4, 5, 6, 8, 0, 4, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 7 days. Go to bed right now.
Thanks for coming, Caillou. And now back to you in the studio, Zombie 2.
Thanks for watching this quick news bulletin. Come back at 10 o'clock for more quick news.